The story begins far in the future. The Earth has already been destroyed. It's the 29th century, and the planet is no longer fit for humans to live on. 700 years ago, a company called BNL built a massive spaceship named Axiom, and the remaining humans left Earth to live in space. Back home, the planet had turned into nothing but dust, pollution, and endless mountains of trash. So thousands of robots like Wall-E were left behind to clean everything up. Their job was simple: compress all the waste into cubes and stack them, hoping that one day Earth would be clean again, so humans could return. But over the centuries, every single robot stopped working, except one, Wall-E. He survived only because whenever one of his parts got damaged, he replaced it using pieces from other broken Wall-E units lying in the trash. After all these years, he looks rusty, worn out, and very old, but somehow he's still going, and being alone for so long, he's developed something unexpected: a personality. He feels things, he gets curious, he even gets lonely. Every day, he compresses garbage into cubes, but whenever he finds something interesting, he keeps it. At night, he returns to his little home filled with all the treasures he's collected: light bulbs, toys, even an old TV, where he watches humans dance and fall in love. He re-watches those romantic clips again and again, recording them inside his system, almost wishing he had someone to share them with. Wall-E also has one companion, a tiny cockroach, who stays with him everywhere, even sleeping beside him. Every morning, Wall-E charges his battery with solar energy and heads to work again. One day, while searching through trash, he finds something he has never seen before: a plant. Surprised, he carefully puts it inside an old shoe. That evening, when Wall-E returns home, he notices a strange red laser moving around outside. He follows it, and suddenly, a gigantic spaceship descends from the sky. Wall-E quickly digs a hole and hides, watching as the ship lands. From inside, an extremely advanced robot steps out, Eve. Wall-E quietly stares at her, amazed. Eve immediately begins scanning everything around her. If her scanner turns red, she destroys the object in a split second with her blaster. Even Wall-E makes a tiny noise, and she fires at him. He barely escapes. Eve keeps scanning the entire area while Wall-E silently follows her, careful not to make a sound. But the cockroach isn't so careful. It walks right up to Eve. Instead of blasting it, she becomes friends with it instantly. When Wall-E finally walks up to her, she scans him too, but gets a red signal and simply moves on. He continues following her everywhere, watching her with innocent curiosity. When Eve goes into standby mode, Wall-E even builds a cute little statue of her out of trash, but she ignores it and keeps scanning. At one point, Eve accidentally gets stuck to a huge metal structure with a magnet. Frustrated, she blasts the entire ship, causing a massive explosion. She watches the destruction, looking sad. Right then, Wall-E, who had been quietly following her, walks up to her. Slowly, they talk for the first time and exchange names. Eve actually starts to enjoy his company. Suddenly, Wall-E's danger alert begins to beep. A massive dust storm is coming. He quickly grabs Eve's hand and takes her to his home so she can be safe. Inside, Wall-E turns on the soft fairy lights, making the place glow beautifully. He excitedly shows her all the things he has collected: the light bulb, the Rubik's Cube, and finally he plays the romantic dance video on his TV. Then he even tries to show her his own dance moves. Eve tries to copy him, but she isn't good at it, and by accident she knocks one of Wall-E's eyes loose. Wall-E opens his drawer full of spare parts and takes out another eye lens. With a few clicks, he fixes himself right up. Eve watches the video playing on the TV, the dancing humans, the romance, and she quietly records it into her own system. When the clip ends, Wall-E finally shows her the little plant he found. The moment Eve sees the plant, her system flashes green. She immediately stores the plant inside her body and then shuts down completely. Wall-E panics. He tries shaking her, tapping her. Maybe her battery is low? Maybe she charges with sunlight like he does. He carries her outside, places her under the sun, and waits and waits. Through dust storms, rain, fog, and long lonely nights, Wall-E never leaves her side, because somewhere along the way, he had fallen in love with her. He decorates her with fairy lights, sits beside her during sunsets, and even shows her his video games, hoping she'll wake up and laugh with him one day. The next morning, the giant spaceship returns to Earth. It locks onto Eve and begins pulling her back. Wall-E rushes after her, with the little cockroach following behind. Wall-E tells his tiny friend to stop and stay safe. Then, at the last moment, he grabs onto the ship as it lifts off and climbs aboard. For the first time, Wall-E shoots into space. He looks around in pure awe, amazed by everything he sees. Soon, the ship docks inside the massive BNL starliner, Axiom. Robots immediately surround Eve, cleaning her from top to bottom. She's still in sleep mode, and Wall-E refuses to leave her side. The cleaning robots accidentally polish Wall-E too. When they spot the green light on Eve's chest, they rush her onto a transport pod. She needs to be taken to the captain. Wall-E runs after her. On the way, he finally sees how humans now live on the Axiom. After hundreds of years in space, they've completely changed. Everyone floats around in robotic chairs. Their legs and arms have shrunk from not being used. Their bodies have become round and heavy. Screens follow them everywhere, doing all their work. Even the babies sit in tiny floating chairs, drinking meals so they never have to chew. Meanwhile, Eve is brought to the captain's deck. The captain is asleep in his chair, while the ship flies itself on autopilot. The autopilot wakes him up for his daily schedule. The captain does his routine tasks, makes his usual announcements, but then he sees Eve back from Earth and with a positive green signal. He's shocked. He rushes to his private cabin and presses a green button. A 700-year-old video message from the BNL CEO plays. The CEO explains that if an Eve unit ever returns with a positive plant signal, it means Earth is finally safe again, and the humans can return home. Excited, the captain checks the operations manual and orders the plant to be retrieved from inside Eve, but when they scan her, the plant is gone. Autopilot instantly declares Eve malfunctioning and sends her to the repair ward. Wally follows her, of course. He refuses to leave her alone. Meanwhile, the captain begins researching Earth on his computer, watching old videos to understand what his home once was and how humans used to live. In the repair room, Wally is locked inside a chamber, and Eve's diagnostics begin. The robots remove her arm to check her systems, but Wally panics. He thinks they're hurting her. He breaks free using his laser and grabs Eve's hand, trying to rescue her. In the process, he releases every malfunctioning robot in the room. The broken robots immediately start following Wally, treating him like their leader. Chaos erupts as they all break out together. Security robots sound the alarm. Wally and Eve are instantly declared wanted. Eve becomes furious with Wally for causing all this trouble, but when the police bots close in, she protects him. She grabs him and switches into escape mode. While flying away, she angrily tells him to go back to Earth. Wally refuses to leave without Eve, no matter what. Just then, the autopilot's assistant robot arrives. It sneaks into the escape pod, places the plant inside, and sets the pod to self-destruct. Wally sees this and immediately climbs in to save the plant. Eve tries to stop him, but the pod launches. It's going to blow up in 20 seconds. Eve panics and rockets into space to save him. Right before the pod explodes, Wally bursts out using a fire extinguisher as a jet. He floats through space, spraying bursts of foam to fly. He reaches Eve and proudly shows her the plant. He saved it. Eve is relieved, and without thinking, she hugs him tightly. Then the two of them dance together in the middle of space, spinning and gliding like stars. After returning to the Axiom, they realize the truth. The autopilot is controlling everything and doesn't want the plant to reach the captain, so they sneak through the garbage system. The path is dangerous, so Eve tells Wally to stay behind while she goes ahead to deliver the plant. The captain is excited to see Earth. He has watched videos on his computer. Green forests, oceans, animals, people living freely. He places a probe on Eve's head and watches the footage she recorded, but what he sees shocks him. Earth isn't the green paradise he imagined. It's nothing but trash, endless trash. He feels heartbroken. Then a leaf on the plant breaks off. The captain gently cares for it, giving it water. He realizes the truth. Earth ended up like this because humans didn't take care of it, and now it's their responsibility to go back and fix what they destroyed. While he studies the plant, Eve receives the video of Wally caring for her while she was shut down, staying beside her through storms, protecting her, watching sunsets with her. Eve becomes emotional. Meanwhile, far below, Wally slowly climbs upward, dodging patrol robots and moving through the trash chute. The captain calls the autopilot and orders him to activate the holodetector so they can place the plant inside and return home, but the autopilot refuses. It plays another old message from the BNL CEO, a warning from centuries ago. The CEO says Earth had become too toxic, the air too poisonous, and the cleanup mission had failed, so humanity must never return. That message gives the autopilot full authority to keep the Axiom in space forever. The autopilot demands the plant again, but the captain insists on going home. He checks the timestamp of the CEO's message and learns it's 700 years old. A lot can change in 700 years. The plant is proof Earth is healing, but the autopilot doesn't care. Its only mission is to follow orders from long ago. Suddenly, the assistant robot reappears. It snatches the plant from the captain's hands and throws it down the garbage chute. But Wally has just climbed up, and the plant lands right on top of him. The assistant bot grabs Eve, trapping her. The autopilot rolls over to Wally and demands the plant. Wally refuses and hides it inside his body. The autopilot shocks him with electricity. Wally collapses, unconscious, falling to the floor. Then the autopilot switches Eve off and tosses her aside as well. Finally, it turns off the lights in the captain's cabin, locks the door, and leaves. Eve's power switches back on. She wakes up and realizes she's in the trash chute, the place where all garbage is dumped. She immediately flies out and rushes to Wally. When she finds him, her heart sinks. He's badly damaged, far worse than before. The electric shock from the autopilot has ruined his circuits. Even his main chip is failing. Wally weakly explains that his chip can only be replaced back on Earth. He hands Eve the plant and tells her if she places the plant inside the holodetector, the ship will return home, and that's the only way he can survive. Filled with determination, Eve lifts Wally and heads toward the humans aboard the Axiom. Wally summons all the malfunctioning robots using his music clip. Security sees them and tries to stop them, but the broken robots fight back and help Wally and Eve escape. Their images flash across every screen on the ship, labeled as wanted. The captain sees the broadcast and spots Wally holding the plant. He instantly knows the plant is safe and smiles with relief. The captain manages to turn on his monitor and sends a message to Eve, guiding her to the holodetector and explaining everything she needs to do. Then he confronts the autopilot. A struggle begins. The captain fights with everything he has and finally manages to activate the holodetector. All the humans are ordered to head to the landing zone so they can return home. But the captain can't overpower the autopilot for long. Autopilot knocks him from his chair, slamming him to the ground. Meanwhile, Wall-E and Eve reach the holodetector platform, but autopilot tilts the entire ship. The plant slips from Wall-E's hands. Humans tumble out of their chairs, sliding across the floor. The autopilot begins shutting the holodetector down, but Wall-E pushes against the mechanism with all his strength, holding it open with his damaged body. At that moment, the captain rises, and for the first time in his life, he stands on his own feet. He fights autopilot, switches it to manual control, and finally shuts it down. The ship's rotation stabilizes. Eve rushes toward Wall-E, not the plant. To her, nothing matters more than him. Meanwhile, the humans and robots pass the plant from one to another, hand to hand, until it reaches Eve. She races to the holodetector and places the plant inside. The command is activated, return to Earth, but Wall-E is barely alive now. He looks like he's reaching his final moments. The Axiom leaps into hyperspeed and darts toward Earth. Moments later, the ship lands. Eve wastes no time. She carries Wall-E straight to his little home. She replaces every one of his broken parts, rebuilds him piece by piece, and sets him outside under the sun to charge. Wall-E powers on. Eve reaches out her hand to him, but Wall-E doesn't react. He begins quietly rolling away to clean trash like a regular robot. Heartbroken, Eve tries everything. She plays the dancing video, shows him the light bulb, the Rubik's Cube, all the things he loved, but he doesn't remember any of it. His memory is gone. Eve refuses to give up. She moves close to him, holds his hand, looks deeply into his eyes, hoping, begging for him to remember. Then she hugs him. A spark bursts between them. Wall-E blinks. Slowly, his eyes widen. He remembers. He reaches out and holds Eve's hand. They've found each other again. The humans begin planting new seeds across the Earth. Wall-E, Eve, the cockroach, and all the robots begin their new life together on their restored home. And over time, plants start growing again. The Earth turns green once more, and a new beginning rises from the ruins. If Wall-E's journey warmed your heart even a little, hit like, share this recap, and keep a little hope alive in your world too.